live right now, and I'm handing the meeting over to you.
Thank you. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Parks and Rec Committee on February 22nd at 6 p.m. Debbie, a roll call, please.
Yes, Wickert,
Present?
Pesh,
Present.
Henderson,
Present.
Champagne,
Here.
Cast,
Here.
Garbett,
Here.
Burkheiser.
Here.
Thank you.
Sarah, any communications?
Yeah, actually, I had a couple things. I had a phone call from Dean Chance with Buyers, who mentioned that there wasn't plowing getting done at Buyers or Millrace. I don't know if that's been resolved since, but I thought I would just let you guys know about that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Approval of minutes from January 25th, 2021.
So
I'll make a-
moved.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, we have a motion by Garbett and a second by who?
Patch.
Patch? To
Yep.
approve the minutes of January 25th, 2021. All in favor? I guess we need a roll call vote. Debbie, go ahead.
Garbett,
Yes.
Pesh,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Wickert,
Yes?
Champagne,
Yes.
Burkheiser,
Aye.
Cast.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Public comments. Anybody that is not on the agenda would like to make a public comment? You have 2 minutes. Just tell Debbie your name and address.
I think they have to open their mics. I always forget the code is the, what do you call them?
Star
there you
9. Star 9 to raise your hand. Oh, John, you're there. Okay.
Yes, it looks like we have one caller in the meeting. If you'd like to make a comment, please press star 9 to raise your hand.
Any luck?
I believe they left.
Guess they didn't have anything to say then.
Just
right.
real quick, am I on the agenda or not? I don't know, because I'm Jim Lemon. I was told it's on the agenda, so if not, I can speak first.
You'll be
Okay.
under item 1.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know if I was on the agenda or not. Thank
We'll
you.
go on one next away. So John, go ahead.
So John is on regarding the lacrosse information that I sent out to you guys this afternoon. I'm going to let him give you a little bit more background. They are looking for a place to hold their meets and possible practices. I did talk to Chris Haney from CW3 as they use those fields sometimes for practice just to make sure there'd be no scheduling conflicts, and he didn't think that there would be. You originally, Jim, sorry.
That's all right.
Or asked about the Richardson Center, and I didn't know if Bicentennial Park might have been a possibility for you, or if you had even looked over there. So that's what I have. I'm going to let you do a little bit more explanation and let the committee ask you some questions.
Yeah, just a little background. This will be our 13th year running. It's called Gladiator Lacrosse. It's for kids in the Walled Lake School District, 3rd, 4th grade team. We're 5, 6, and 7th, 8th. All these years until this past spring, we've operated through Walled Lake Community Ed. This past spring, after our first practice, Community Ed shut down. They've been closed since. So we didn't have any games last year. In fact, the whole league ran shut down. And this year, we'd like to keep the program going until Walled Lake hopefully opens up next year. And they've managed it again for the past 13 years. And because they're closed this year, and Walled Lake Schools at this point is not given any access to any of their facilities, we're looking for a home to have our games and perhaps some practices. Again, all the kids are in Walled Lake Schools district. It's a community-based. We're in the Suburban Lacrosse League. Most of the programs in our league are community-based with the exception of Novi. We play Novi, which is a middle school team, and Cranbrook, which is the Cranbrook Academy. The rest of the programs are all community-based. So we play against Waterford, Clarkston, Oxford, Lake Orion, Birmingham, Troy, Rochester, Shelby, and Macomb are the teams in our league. We start practice in March once the weather gets done, and our season ends usually the last week in May, right before the Memorial Day weekend. It's a non-paid program. I've been doing this since I started the program with Walled Lake Community Ed 13 years ago. The coaches and managers, we do it just because we love the sport. And again, because we have no place to play this year, we're trying to find some fields so we can practice and play. And then again, our hope is next year when Walled Lake Community Ed starts back up, which I hope happens, we can again be part of their program, and they run everything for me, and I play games over at the high schools and practice at some of the elementary schools like we've done like forever. So, the size of the field is similar to a soccer field. It's about 110 by 60. It can be adjusted as necessary in order if there's some issues, but we're open. We're looking for a central location because again, it's a pretty large school district, and we're hoping that's why we looked at Richardson Center, because we have a lot of kids, who end up in northern, central, and western. And that seems like a really good place where the kids could commute after school, especially the young ones who get out of, third and fourth grade, 5, 6. They get out, sometime after 4. So we want a central location to have our practices. That's what we're looking for. If there's an opportunity and whether there's a fee or not, if there's a fee, I'll just include that in our costing for the year. And we're hoping to make this work. So any questions?
I do.
So I have a couple questions. Okay.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I have just about, in regarding to practice, I know you said you were looking at a possible practice field, but you had other locations that you could potentially use. I just am concerned about damage, and comparative to soccer, what is the damage? I know these are little kids, and I think you only have 2 teams, or are you adding a third team?
We're hoping to add the third, fourth team. It just depends. They only play in a half field. I have a facility to practice in we've got permission to practice at West Acres, so I can do that, which is fine. My third, fourth, I don't know if that's going to work, because most of the kids live in the western part of the community, and they're third and fourth graders. The games we play very similar to soccer. The games last an hour. You're playing on cleats, and instead of kicking a ball, you're throwing a ball. And it's 6 versus 6, or excuse me, 10 versus 10. And that's how the field's set up.
Jim?
So we're looking at 4 home games for each team. Yes, sir.
Jim, have you taken a look at Bicentennial Park?
I just heard of it tonight. I have not even looked into that park. So no, I'm not
thinking that would probably be one of your best options at this point. It is a field that isn't used regularly back there. I mean, it is definitely big as a regulation soccer field that you could do a couple, cut it in half and do a couple of, the younger kids and stuff, and make a couple fields probably. But I think that might be something that you want to take a look at and get back to us. And
is that under your control? Is that part of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. It's park picture.
I'm 100% open. I'll play anywhere at this point, because again, that's the only thing that's holding us back right now. We have the kids. So
with that field, that there would be no conflicts for you. I mean, it is basically a recreational field at this time for the neighborhood in the area. Kids go up. We've got a volleyball court there. We're working on finishing up a little baseball field for the community and things of that nature. But the back field, where it butts up to the other neighborhood there behind the old township hall, is they used to play soccer there, and until Chris and those guys built their field.
Practice there.
They practice.
I'm 100% open. We would do our own lining. It's just regular paint machine that puts down the paint, and after a few weeks, it disappears due to the grass growing.
That's not a problem.
So
Jim, let me ask.
Sure. Yeah, sure, Robert.
I got a couple questions, or maybe it's just one at this point.
Okay.
I did have a question having to do with how much it's torn up, so that's fine. The concern I have is whether this is a long-term and which might still be good. I'm not
Right,
saying
right.
that, I know. But the issue with the Richardson Field is that is been talked about pulling that soccer field out and putting other things in there. So I would be concerned that if it became long-term solution or it worked better for everybody, which I don't know that we're opposed to, but
Right.
that field itself might not be there. The other that I don't think we control, but there's the fields behind the Lutheran Church, you know, the one that's across the street from Central, Shepherd of the Lakes Lutheran Church.
Yeah,
They have
okay.
a baseball field back there. They have a huge field. I can put you, if you want to contact me offline,
Sure.
I'm a member of the church, so
Okay.
we can get you, and actually Emily may have contact information too. So I'm not sure how that's used or
Bob, those are
signed
used-
up for.
Those are
What's that?
usually used by, those fields are usually used by baseball teams in the spring and stuff. So they might have a conflict there. And again, I don't know who controls those, but I know we used to play over there and stuff and use that baseball
Right.
diamond. So
I've seen some over there, but I mean, technically it's the church's property.
I think so.
The church would do it. I don't know if
Sure.
they have a commitment. I haven't seen teams over there. I mean, they may do it, but I don't know that there's a regularly scheduled stuff. But it's
Okay.
also really big field. I mean, you could go into that back outfield and probably get another full size field back there. But it's just what I'm saying is if other things don't work out, that might be an option for you to reach over to those guys.
Yeah, we're open to anything. The bicentennial sounds interesting. Like I said, we'll take any location. I hope it's 1 year. It's just if Walled Lake Community Ed, I have no idea when they open back up. They've been shut down since March. The day they open, because it makes it a lot easier for me because all I do is coach. Now I have to manage the money. We have to get insured, you know, which is important, and we have to do all these other things that I've never had to do. But I just want to keep this going because we're feeding 3 high schools and the kids lost last year and would like to get them out and all the other programs in our league. The one I'm not too sure about is here in Valley. I haven't heard back from them, but all the others are.
Okay,
playing
Jim,
this
let me
year.
ask a question. here.
Sure.
Mark, that field hasn't been used a lot for soccer and stuff like it was before. You guys mow that regularly, correct?
Yes.
And how would you say the surface is now? Is grass and stuff growing back there? I know it's not irrigated and it's not lush lawn, but is
Right.
it grassed over?
Yeah, it's mostly grass over, except around the goal post, the
Uh-huh.
goal netting. There's a lot of sand there. So I don't know, throw some seed down or just they can play that way.
We play in anything, believe me.
So you have
We're
your
not-
own
we're not
equipment,
greedy.
nets.
Well, yeah, we have that. I've been able to get it from the high school kids who've gone through the program. They've all donated that. And I have my equipment from last year because they shut down. So I'm good on that. So we have everything we need besides a field right now to play.
Jim, if you run out of ideas, there's also Clara Miller that has bathroom facilities too.
Okay,
In Benstein and Glengarry, you can contact the Wolverine Lake Parks and Recs.
okay,
There's nothing going on over there.
okay. That sounds good. I'll check that.
How
But
many
that's-
total games are you looking at? Is it 5 total or is it 5 per team?
For the 7th, 8th, and the 5, 6, we'll play 4 home games. It'll be the same day. There'll be one right after the other.
Okay.
And the 3, 4, most of them are jamborees because we go to one location, which we're not going to host this year. We've always hosted Northern over the years. We've had 30 teams here. It's great, but we're going to be going to other places this year because we couldn't commit. So I think we'll probably host 2 games. We only play half field and the games last about 35 minutes because
Okay.
there's, little kids and stuff like that. So yeah, it would be 4 home games for each team the same day.
Okay.
And it'd be either evenings or like a Saturday. We don't do anything on Sundays.
Okay.
Emily, what do we need to do now? We need,
So Emily, I was going to say, Emily, what do you need from us?
Well, I would like a motion to move forward, and obviously I can work with Jim on location. And keep Chris or anybody else who would be affected in the loop of what's going on. I agree with Bill. I think Bicentennial might be the better fit. I know it's not as centralized, but I think that it's going to give you more options. And I can meet you over there to look at it if you'd like. And we can meet at the Richardson Center and look at that too, so you can do a comparison.
Okay, I'm
so-
fine with anything you pick. I'm fine.
If it's something
So I'll make a
that,
motion that we allow the lacrosse teams to work with Emily to choose a field for their games for the 2021 season.
Are those Saturdays?
On
Most of the
Mondays.
games are Saturdays. Yeah, there's a few evening games too.
So, do you have problems with people using the Richardson Center, like renting it right now, Emily?
we can't rent right now, so it wouldn't be an
It's all
issue.
open. Okay.
Do I have a second?
I'll support that.
Okay. We have a motion by Burkheiser and a second by Pesh to go ahead with approval of the lacrosse league to using our parks, as long as Emily agrees to it.
Yep.
Any other discussion?
I just have two more questions.
Okay, Jack.
If there's a fee, I just need to know so I can include that in my registration price. I don't know if you guys are going to charge me per game or practice, or just let me know what it is so I can manage that properly.
I think that it would just be, maybe we can put something in writing if there was any significant damage or, we
Okay.
can talk about that and work it out.
Throw some
Okay.
seed.
Yeah,
Throw
I
some-
mean, it would have to be pretty
That's fine. Okay.
significant, but
Understand, okay. The other question is, every player and coach is going to be insured through US Lacrosse. I can send you the policy that we're all going to have. If there's anything else you need, I can find another, whatever you guys need to protect yourself, let me know, because I want to make sure that you guys have the right insurance.
the Charter Township of Commerce needs to be listed as additional insured.
Okay, I'll make sure that's added.
Okay, Debbie,
And
We also-
Emily, let me ask if we're doing discussion. Is this something where we would have them sign one of the agreements that the attorneys have been working on for 5 years?
It wouldn't be,
Seems like.
it wouldn't be that kind of an agreement. It would be like the agreement we use for the concert. So, because it's a short-term agreement.
Okay.
any more discussion? Okay, we got a motion by Burkheiser, second by Pesh. Debbie, why don't you go ahead and make a roll call vote?
Okay, Burkheiser,
Aye.
Pesh,
Aye.
Champagne,
Yes.
Wickert,
Yes,
Henderson,
Yes.
Garbutt,
Aye.
Cast.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried unanimously.
all right. The League and Community Service Organization reports. Chris, why don't you go next? Chris Haney?
Yeah, I turned mine in to Emily, so you should have it there on your screen, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I submitted it in the packet.
Just for the sake of time. I mean, I can tell you if you want me to, but
I can read it. I'm happy to be playing games again. Registration is ongoing for spring of 2021. Dodge Park feature signage brainstorming session is still pending. And Dodge Park bathroom walkthrough is pending, which we're scheduling that for next week. And what that is regarding is use of the storage room over there by CW3 Soccer, and then how CW3 Soccer can help us maintain that building. So I will give you an update next month on that.
Okay, all set then, Chris?
yes, sir. Thank you, Emily.
You're welcome. I have one from Carrie I can read real quick too, which is
Okay.
Windmill Farms. They're getting ready for the middle school equestrian team season to start, and we'll post the open house information soon. We had a problem with some of the water lines freezing during the really cold weather, but everything is working now. We are thankful for the new hot water hydrant that has been installed, and then please contact her if she's had any questions. So her water lines did freeze. We did replace the outdoor hydrant, dug it completely up and put a new hydrant in, and Mark has gone over there and left, Mark can clarify the size of the barrels, but big barrels to fill with water so that her horses didn't go without.
We all set with that then?
Yep, that one's good.
Okay, Josh Springer, why don't you go ahead?
sorry, I was unmuting myself. So our registration is probably 2/3 of the way through. We're starting to get all of our insurance, all of our annual stuff renewed. So looking on for that, Emily. I'll send that as soon as we get it. I do have a question about if there's any scheduling in regards to the parking lot. And then also too, you guys were talking about Shepherd of the Lakes Church. So they still continue to allow us to play baseball there for to basically maintain the grass and all that stuff. So if you have questions, let me know. I can also try to get you in touch with those guys. But we do still do that. Other than that, it's just pretty much, season's getting ready to start. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Josh.
The Hawks did send one in too. Pete sent one in just to let us know that registration is ongoing and they are planning on having a season for 2021.
Good. Is Tim Bailey here?
I don't see him.
Okay. How about Karen and Dean or Dean?
They one of the call-ins. Yep.
Yeah, yes, we're here.
Go ahead, Karen.
Okay. We had a meeting on Tuesday, February 16th. We had 6 members out of 17 who attended due to COVID fears. So we're putting nominations of officers off until March. Dean has been relaying messages back and forth with Emily about pictures with Easter Bunny. We set a date for Sunday, March 28th upon approval of Commerce Township. Mike would be our Easter Bunny as usual in full costume with a full head covering, and he would wear a mask underneath. We would also schedule by appointment, so only one family would be in the barn at a time, so that it would try to make it COVID safe. And again, with all sanitization like we did for Boo Bash. Scheduling in the future beyond pictures with Easter Bunny would be May 2nd. We scheduled a cleanup with Bob Burkheiser's troop. And then on that same day, we would have Kayla and her Eagle Scouts down at the startup of the Butterfly Garden. Beyond that, we have May 16th, which is Planting Day at Byers Park. So the Friends of Byers will be down there planting our perennials and new flowers, and we will help assist Kayla with anything that she would need doing her final touches and planting of the butterfly garden. We set our dates for events and have preliminary schedule times, and we will review those as our March meeting when we vote officers, and we will submit to Commerce Township Parks with our 2020 wish list of what we are planning to hopefully do for 2020. We're working on the year-end report right now, Emily, so I will submit that to you via email when I'm completed. Friends of Byers helped assist with the bottle drive. Anyone who needed to drop bottles that Kayla couldn't get to for her financial aspect of earning money, we let drop bottles down at the barn. So then she came down and picked them up with her dad. We had 13 bags and beer cases dropped off down at Byers. So I know that when I talked to her last, she had, prior than our pickup, last Sunday she had $367 out of $1,100. So she said she's doing pretty well. So we're excited about the start of the butterfly garden. And then my only last request is we talked about it in the past, and we are hoping that this year we can get a handicap porta potty. We went through it again this past year where we had people who used the park a lot, big family events actually down on the grounds, and elderly with walkers and handicapped people can't get in that small porta potty. So we're hoping maybe this year that we can do something to get the handicap porta potty on the grounds of Byers Park. And that's it.
Okay, thanks, Karen. Any
So
other
Karen,
questions?
I have a question.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So were you scheduling the cleanup the same day as she's doing her Eagle Scout project?
She is starting that week if the weather does not allow her prior. So that would be her first day actually cleaning the grounds, getting things prepped, and then her major day would be planting day. I think she's putting the fence in that day.
Okay.
And then planting May 16th when we're planting. Is that a problem, Bob?
I'm going to say right now, I don't know. And I say it because generally the troops, it's not, I think the Boy Scout rules are they have to keep a certain distance and all that. And so if you've got a Boy Scout troop coming in with, I have no idea, 15, 20 kids, and then you have any other helpers that are going to be there, and then you have another troop that's sort of working in the same area doing a Eagle Scout project. I don't know. So I'd have to ask I'll ask the Scoutmaster how he feels about it. Or maybe she can do hers on Sunday, or this was a Sunday. Maybe she can do hers on Saturday, and then the other one can be done on Sunday, whatever. If we can just separate them, it might be better.
Okay, that's what we'll do. We'll make Kayla on Saturday and let her know that she can't be on the grounds with us on Sunday. That's okay with us.
You sure? I'm
I'm
not trying to. Okay, well, just double check with her and see, because she has to arrange all her stuff. I don't know. I mean, I'll ask the other Scoutmaster. If he doesn't care, then then I guess it's fine. But generally, they try to separate all those.
Yeah, that's okay. We're totally fine
Okay.
with that. She's actually
Okay.
booking her appointment times around us when we
All right,
can
so
be
just
there.
ask her to do it on Saturday, and then, I mean, they can come and help clean up, I suppose. I just think having two different activities at the same time might be an issue. Maybe not.
Okay, we'll plan her on Saturday, you on Sunday, Bob. That's perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Emma, any
Thanks.
more e-service organization reports?
No, I don't have any at this time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go to item 2, Parks and Recreation Department report. I see, Emily, you put that in the
did.
packet.
Yep, so I'll touch on some of the highlights. So we finally did get approval from AARP to start taxes. So we were supposed to start the beginning of the month, and National AARP wasn't approving sites. So they finally just went ahead and approved every site. So today was the first day that we were able to get started. And I think that we had a successful day. It was a little confusing in the beginning, but I think it all worked itself out. So it's new this year where it's a drop-off system where they come in, they meet, make sure they have all their documents get scanned, they leave. So it's about a half-hour process. And then they come back the following week and everything will be finalized for them. So I think, Allison, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we have about 330 people on our wait list, and we have gotten through a significant amount with still some time left. So that's great. As Carrie touched base, we were dealing with some water issues over at the horse farm. Hopefully that's been ratified now, and we're going to move forward with our subcommittee on that. We did have a meeting at the buyer's house on Friday with Plant Moran and the Daily Company, who is a construction company who's working with us on getting the construction documents prepared so that we can send that project out to bid. We're going to have one more meeting over there, and then we should be ready to go on that. And I mean, that's about it as far as highlights go.
Thanks, Emily. Okay, item 3, Township Bob report. Township Board report. Bob?
That too. So the last meeting we had, I don't know if anybody was on, we got a presentation from Plant Moran Cressa, the organization that is representing the township. I guess I'll say our interest with the architecture and all the stuff, contractors, all the stuff that's going on. So they gave a presentation, an update having to do with the fire station out there on Welsh Road. If you've driven by, you'll see obviously that stuff is happening. We're hoping to keep on budget-wise. We're still under the approved budget. We have a lower than normal, lower than we normally have, contingency fee. But generally speaking, the issues you have are below ground, especially when you're raising a building, getting rid of a building and putting a new one up. It's usually issues that are below ground. And now that we're starting to be above ground, we're hopeful that those issues are, or there won't be that many issues. So we should be on budget and hopefully on schedule for that. We approved our 2021 CDBG resolution, so the money can be appropriated and used in whatever our activities are for that. Maybe Emily will tell us in a second. We approved a couple condominium things. You guys may be aware, across the street from the Township Hall, the old driving range area, there's some housing units going in there at some point. There's also the one at the reserve at Crystal Lake. That's up off of, help me out here, where is that? Sleeth and roughly Benstein, that the old gravel pit area, or at least part of that. That's key because that is part of that has to do with them extending water and sewer from where it is, roughly the village area, all the way out to Lake Sherwood. So there'll be water and sewer lines that'll go all the way out and service properties, new stuff, and then anything that has to be connected out at Lake Sherwood can be connected to the water and sewer. So that's a big deal for the township. As that works its way through the system, there's a lot of things that need to be done. We may see some stuff starting on that in the summer or fall timeframe. We also looked at and are moving forward slowly on the LICETEC system. I think I explained last month, that's the system that hooks into the water treatment facility that basically takes our sewage and converts it to fertilizer for animals. We'll just say it that way. And so we're moving forward slowly on that. We want to make sure that we're not getting ourselves into a system and that the company that's doing it goes belly up or something. We're trying to do our due diligence to make sure we know everything on it. It's a fairly new system for us. It is being put in Michigan, down near the Ohio border in another town. They're about probably 9 to 12 months ahead of us. So we may be able to get some information from them and see what's going on. Maintenance department came up and we approved the another hire. So I don't know if I know Mark's working on that, and we're working on an on-call system or a either coverage for all 7 days or an on-call system. This time of year, probably not as big a deal, but certainly in the summer, on the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in our parks and at the Richardson with the rentals, we want to make sure we have some maintenance coverage there. And so those things are being worked on. And I think that's it, unless there's questions.
Okay, thanks, Bob. All right, item number 4, Park Liaison Report. Bob, go ahead and start with Wise Woods and Victory Park, if anything.
So I know we've had some conversations in the past about things that are going on down there. I was down there, it's probably been a couple weeks ago now. I think there was a, washing machine or a stove or something was dumped down there. That's been pulled out. We've had some tracks and they weren't four-wheeler tracks. They were big truck type tracks that have gone over our logs and whatnot and are out there messing around on the Victory Park side that I'm aware of. So we're getting some encroachment. We're getting folks that are coming into parks. We're going to try to move forward, I hope, this year and get some stuff going on just getting people in there and using it more. So the parking lot process, the projects that we're working on, at least in my opinion, we need to try and move forward on that if we can, and just getting people walking through there. So on the Wise Wood side, we need to make sure that our property's not being encroached. I think we've had some pits that were dug over on the Victory Park side for motorcycle or whatever they're doing in there. So we've had a lot of stuff that's outside the realm of the park that's been done. A lot of it's been taken care of, but still, I think one of the ways is to try and get normal usage in there, and hopefully it'll ease that up a little bit. I'm not sure. There has been talk again on the township board side of sending letters to the people that surround our parks, not just Wise Woods, but homeowners that are encroaching on our property. But it's not just there, it's buyers, it's all our parks. They're doing the, I forget the name of the program, but we can, you know, you've got the satellite views now, so you can see who's using what and whose stuff is on our property. And we're not necessarily telling them, you need to go out and move your, well, I guess if it was a garage, we'd tell you that you're in trouble, but you know, you don't necessarily need to move stuff, but we're letting you know that you're on our property. And part of that has to do with some of the state law issues. And then some of it is, as we get ready to start doing things, we might want our property back. So
let's have a
I don't
discussion
know if
about
those letters
Wise
went
Road.
out.
Jay is
Okay.
working on those letters. I do know that.
Okay.
So we can get a list of who he sent those to. But let's have a small discussion about Wise Road, because we did prepare bid documents and actually send the project out for bid for that small parking lot on the north side, which is Wise Woods. We can send those back out and see what they come in at now. Last time they were astronomical, so we didn't move forward with it. We thought that we would send that out to bid when we did the south side improvements. But after discussions with the road commission, it sounds like when we start doing work on the south side of that park, the road improvements they're going to require out of us are going to be just as costly as the project itself. So in my opinion, that's a grant project to help offset some of those costs. So my question is, do you want me to move forward with sending that out to see where the bids come in at? Just because when we did do our budget, it was like the 4th or 5th priority. I feel that it is a priority. I feel it's been put off for far too long, but let me know your thoughts. We're spending money. It's going to
Well,
be.
my thought is it doesn't cost us anything to put a bid
No.
out there and find out what it's going to cost us to do a project. So
Okay.
from that process, I would say let's at least find out how much.
Okay.
You know, we're not looking for paved roads and
No.
necessarily everything. We're looking for more of a gravel
Crushed
parking lot, I
limestone.
think.
Yeah.
I would,
Right. And so,
Bob, that the time that we,
Okay.
even on Victory Park side is that where we have the entrance now with the posts across is where we're planning that drive back in there and some gravel parking, and that would alleviate the traffic off the road. And
The
get
problem
people-
with that is that once we start doing work on that side of the road, years ago when we met with the road commission, they told us as soon as we start construction on that side of the road, they are going to require a lot of road improvement. So I am working with Jay James on getting a meeting set up with the road commission so we can sit down and say, okay, what is it you're going to want? What is the cost estimate for that? So we know exactly what we're looking at. So the DNR has upped the land and water grant. It used to be a $200,000 grant with a 50% match. It's now a $500,000 grant. And this is a perfect project for that. It's just going to put it off another year, but that doesn't stop us from putting in a parking lot on the north side, which would give people a safe place to park and utilize the park
Well-
instead of what they're doing now.
Emily, we're not talking about having people park on the north side and walk across Wise Road to get into Victory Park, are we? Or is this-
They would still, they can still use that little, gravel lot. We can probably make that a little nicer. I have to talk to the road commission before I want to move forward with anything on the south side. I don't want to trigger anything with them till we have that discussion.
I agree with Bob. Let's get the bid and see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do too.
Okay.
All right, let's go on to Dodge Park. Rachel?
Dodge Park is good and quiet, not much going on. When I've been there in the past several weeks, there's not been a lot of people there, I think probably because of the weather.
Yeah.
Okay. Sarah, Byers and the other one across the street?
Mill race. So yeah,
Race.
just the concern that Dean raised about the plowing, I just want to make sure that that's getting taken care of. I don't know how many people are going to Mill Race right now per se, but with all the events coming up and how it snows in Michigan until June sometimes, knock on wood. I just want to make sure that we have a plan that I can relay to Dean or
We can talk about that now too. Is Karen still on? If she is, maybe she can clarify for us, because Mark is on, so maybe she can clarify for us what isn't being plowed. Okay, so as far as Mill Race goes, what is plowed for the entrance in Mill Race is going to be that parking lot that's located behind Leo's. They don't plow that front section of Mill Race. But as far as Byers goes, what is not being plowed that needs to be plowed? Is it the road or is it just the parking areas?
The parking area, but we get a lot of complaints that the people who, and they do utilize, if you look at the park right now, people want to utilize the bridge and they're trying and they're wading through 4 feet of snow, trying to, that pathway that takes them to the bridge. And Sunday in the barn, it's so funny because I actually had 12 people come through the barn and say, how do you get to the bridge to cross over? So I had them go out and drive and park in front. But we still had our walkers. We have walkers that walk their dogs, that's the path they want to go. They want to walk Mill Race Park with their pets every single day and every weekend. And so you can tell where they've kind of plowed their way through.
All right. So here's what we can do. As far as you're not talking about the road.
I am talking about like coming up alongside the barn, through the middle of the property and crossing over the bridge and going to Mill Race. And they tried parking there. There were 4 cars there Sunday when we opened up the barn that were actually parked off Commerce Road, that parking lot. So do you think you want me to forward them behind Leo's?
As far as Mill Race goes, yes. As far as the pathways and Byers go, let's work on that together with Mark. I think I need.
I mean, we don't generally plow. I don't know the right word, but I'll say plow pathways. I mean, we're not plowing the paths through Hickory Glen and Maple Glen and all those. And so some of that's a legal reason, but some of it's also on dirt. So I'm not sure how we're supposed to really do that. I mean, I could see pushing snow in that parking lot by Byers. The one right across the street from the barn, but also maybe a little bit of the one, I don't know what we call it, but the one by the river, people can park there. But I don't think it's, my opinion, not very reasonable to think we're going to plow, a walking path so they can get to the bridge. If the snow's that deep, it's
sort of closed.
Hey,
it's a legal
Bob,
thing for me.
Bob, this is Dean Shantz. I just want to make a comment about the parking. At the Byers, particularly, just on there's a side parking area, just enough to accommodate maybe 4 or 5 cars, because that's how many people will be there basically at one time, or maybe a small area where that big parking space is at Byers. And then my observation over at the Mill Race is I know that they want to park over near Leo's.
Yeah.
But if they also put maybe just 2 swipes with a plow over where the historical sign is at the Mill Race, they can park there too. Because I notice that doesn't get plowed too often either. But it's just a couple swipes with a plow, and I think that would be sufficient for now. And then, as far as the trails are concerned, maybe somewhere down the road, if they want to store a snow blower, maybe if I get a chance, I can go down there and maybe do a couple passes, so they can access the river and feed the ducks, or even approach the bridge at some point. But I think you're right. If when you get into this, plowing out paths, it gets pretty labor intensive.
It's not so
Yeah, I
much
don't know
the
that we
labor
would want to do
intensive.
that.
Yeah, I agree
But,
with Bob.
I
It's a
mean, you know,
legal
if you guys wanted to plow it, I mean, that would, I won't say it'd be fine. I think we need to talk with the attorneys. There's some sense that if we plow pathways and they become icy and people are walking on them, slip and fall, it now becomes our liability. Whereas when it's not done and they're sort of obvious that you're taking your own risk at it. So while I understand, and we don't generally get this much snow at a time, that it becomes an issue for people, but you know, if you're walking through and plowing your own place down, then you know, you're taking your own risk. But if we are out there snow blowing, or you guys snow blow and create a path that then becomes an ice skating rink for people as it freezes over, that might put the township at risk. So I would ask, at least at this point, not to do it, and let Emily contact the attorneys to see what our liability is.
Yeah, I get that.
No, we trucked through it too. On Friday, we had to truck through the snow. So I know it's deep over there, but just let me do some checking into it.
Yeah, it's just basically the side parking area for photographers, if people want to feed the ducks, or patrons generally during the week. And then I think Mark also plows up where that porta john is too, so they can safely empty that each week.
Yeah, we've done that twice already, so you've been clear the last 2 snows.
Yeah, Mark's really great about that. I call him, he's down there, he takes care of that, so it's all good.
We all set with buyers then?
Think so.
Okay, let's go to Long Park, Barb, and Snowy Ridge.
Well, Long Park is still closed off, so there'll be no reports until the road is open. But Snowy Ridge has gotten quite a lot of use during all the snow, but today it looks like nobody's been on there. The day was kind of too warm maybe, but it's getting a lot of use.
Wet snow.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bill?
Well, let me just comment on Barb. We got a little news press that, you know, Snowy Ridge was one of the bigger hills in the area for sledding and stuff. There was more of a, what they call it, the older kids hill, not the little kids sliding. So that was pretty nice that we did get some press on Snowy Ridge, got some ink. So.
Oh, I have one more thing to say. I'm sorry. Down at the bottom of the fence, which is at the bottom of the hill, I don't know what is there, but there's all kinds of trash around the trash barrel, which is filled up. So I don't know, sometime, Mark, you go by, you might want to take a look. It looks pretty bad. And it looks like plastic. So I don't know if they've been using some kind of plastic on there and then just leave it after they slide.
We do that once a week, Barb. We've caught people dumping their home garbage and everything in there.
Yeah.
And we usually give Wendy the names. I mean, we found one guy just had like bags and boxes of stuff, and she contacts them, and they, I don't know what happens afterwards. I never asked her.
Okay.
So that's what we're getting, people home garbage.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
That's because the Long Park is closed. That's where we normally get it. So now they're trucking it over to Snowy Ridge.
Yeah.
A little farther. Okay, Bill, Bicentennial?
Nothing to report on Bicentennial. It's kind of snowed in over there too, so not a lot of action going through there.
Okay, Linda, Hickory Glen? Got to unmute, Linda. Got to unmute.
I am. All
There you
right.
go.
I've got nothing to report unless Josh has something. He's probably driven around back in there.
Nope,
Anything, Josh?
nothing that I'm aware of.
All right, thanks. Maple Glen, I was driving there today and I was kind of worried I might get stuck like the other guy did. There were 3 cars in there and one was stuck. So the east end was plowed, but the western end entrance was just full of snow and big ruts. It's hard to get through. So I don't know, Mark, do you just do the one side now or you
Yeah, that's all we were asked to do is the one side and the handicap parking in and out. Otherwise, the kids would go there and trash the place.
Okay.
We try to keep it not so good looking on the other side.
Well, you accomplished your goal then.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. All right, item 5, Village of Wolverine update. Linda?
I have nothing from the village.
Okay. thank you. Item 7, Byers Easter Bunny event. That's going to be March 28th. Anything else to add? We had that.
Let's do item 6.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark. Missed you.
Have I done
Mark,
enough?
that maintenance
already?
department.
All right, yeah, everybody's noticed that the parks have been slow, especially with this last snow. We've seen four-wheeling and snowmobiles going over the bridges and everything. We put a little barricade like we do every year when we get heavy snow to slow the snowmobiles down, but not people walking. As soon as the snow melts, we'll pull that back. Mill race, we had a person that had a tent and was camping out there. And we called Wendy and I don't know what she did, but we found the mattress in the tent over there. We have it at the shop. It's brand new. I told Wendy we have it. The guy, I don't know if he was arrested or if he comes back, we have it. Buyers, like we said, I clear those spots. Gene asked me to clear those spots and clarify the porta potties. And like Bob said, we're trying to work on something to get a 7-day coverage, make sure all the parks are clean. Everything looks good for commerce and the residents. And that's it for maintenance. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Sorry about that. Item 7, Byers Easter Bunny event. It's gonna be March 28th. Emily, anything else we need to know about that from Emily, from Dean and Karen?
I'm going to ask you guys to approve the idea of the event, but I did send this over to Hans, the township attorney, to review, and he does have concern about the way the current executive order reads. And it's non-residential indoor gatherings are 10 or less with no more than 2 households, which is where the sticky part comes in. And if the Easter Bunny and a buyer's rep is in the barn, that's 2 households right there. So he has concern. We are the township. We don't want to break any of the executive order rules. So I want to see this event happen for them, and things are obviously, they can change daily as we've learned over the last year. So I would like you guys to approve their idea of the event with working with myself and the township attorneys to try to figure out a way to make this work for them.
So where was this happening? Inside or outside?
Barn, in the
In the
barn.
barn. Well, I'll make a
In the
motion.
barn.
The
Isn't that like a garage where it's really outside?
I asked.
If you open the garage, if you open the door, is it outside?
Nope.
That's my point. It's not heated.
It is heated.
Would a tent make it outside?
It's enclosed, no.
Well,
I know.
at the top and no sides?
Well, if you got it.
Well, you could put a 12 by 10 by 10, what do you call those things? Canopy up if you needed to.
Easy up.
I don't know.
I do say, I know
Okay.
that they proposed 5 minutes in between families, and I'm going to say I don't think that that's enough time to properly sanitize according to what the CDC guidelines are. I would at least do 10. I don't think 5 minutes is going to make residents feel comfortable. But I want to see this happen. I'm tired of telling people no. I'm tired of canceling events, but we need to make sure that we are, as the township, following the rules that have been set forth to us. So like I said, I'd like you guys to approve the idea and allow myself and the township attorney to work with them to make
I
it
made a
work.
motion to approve, Emily, under the guidelines.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Linda.
And we have a motion by Pesh and a second by Champagne to approve the March 20th event with, along with Emily and our township attorney. Any other discussions? Okay, go ahead, Debbie, make a roll call vote.
Pesh,
Aye.
Champagne,
Yes.
Burkheiser,
Yes.
Garbett,
Aye.
Wickert,
Yes,
Henderson,
Yes.
Cast.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried unanimously.
Okay, anything else there, Emily?
Nope.
Okay, item 8, pathways, Dodge Park and Richardson.
Okay, so this is up for discussion. So the first map that you guys have in your packet is of Dodge Park. These pathways were proposed by Giffords Webster when we did the relocation of the Dodge Park play equipment. This is a CDBG, the Community Block Development Grant money eligible project, and we have monies that we can spend to do this project. I just need to reprogram that money. So before I reprogram that money, I want to make sure that this layout makes sense to you guys. What this is doing is it is what they're calling removal of architectural barriers. So currently it is not ADA accessible to get from the sidewalk or anywhere to the pavilion or to the playgrounds themselves. So we would be putting in pathways from the parking lot to the pavilion, to the pathways. And we would also include ADA accessible picnic tables and ADA accessible grills.
Is this all covered under the
Yes.
CDBG? Do we have an actual cost?
The pathways are estimated right now at 20,000. We have plenty
And when
of,
we say pathways, they're just sidewalks, right?
yes.
Okay.
I've been trying to say pathways.
Mhm.
So we need a motion then, Emily?
I mean, I don't know if it's necessary. I just wanted to have the discussion, make sure that this layout makes sense. Sometimes other sets of eyes help if I've missed something or if Jason's missed something.
So is that one pathway? Now you got me saying it. It looks like it's coming down the driveway, whatever you want to call it, down the road. Is that going to be like a true sidewalk? So is it going to butt up next to the curb in the road? Is that the intent there? Or so there's going to be a green path. So grass on each side?
Yes.
So, okay, so I'll change that to be, that seems like a pain in the neck, especially for cutting and mowing or whatever, edging, I don't know what we do. So why can't it be pushed over to the, next to the
It can.
curb, like every
We
other
just-
sidewalk? Okay,
Well, we lined it up with what's currently there. So you can
I see that.
there's, that was the only intent there. So we can even maybe widen it a little bit there to eliminate.
well
the-
then I guess I would defer to Mark. Does that become an issue with mowers and stuff? Who cuts over there? We do, right?
No, we contract that one out.
No. Well, in general though, wouldn't it be easier to cut than put in I don't know how wide that is. How wide is that path if you leave it the way you have it?
I don't have the dimensions in front of me.
Anyway, that's my only comment, is that maybe it should be pushed over next to the actual road,
So
or if we even need it at all.
from my point of view, if I'm there with little kids, I would rather have it separated from the road because little kids are crazy and run where they shouldn't be. And the grass makes a clear separation between where families should be walking and cars should be driving.
We can go look too.
So
It looks like there's,
maybe we don't put it in at all. I mean, you've got it from over on the parking lot and they can catch it from that side and you can hit all. What's the connection from the red circle? Is there a way that it's connected in there? Is that
Just from
enough
the
that
other
wheelchairs
corner.
can get over it?
no, we would have to put in another path from that point over to the pavilion.
Or somehow connect those?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever we do, is important to put in a path, because if you look there most days in the summer or any good weather, there are a lot of old people that are walking there and they're going on the grass, which is not nearly as even as if you had a decent path.
We can go out there and
Well,
look. It looks like there's a lot of green in between the path. It almost looks like they could actually get their mower. It'd be just one swipe of the mower right there.
I mean, I think Rachel's comments are a good comment. The question might be, do we really need it there at all? It just, to me, honestly, almost looks like it's a
Well,
sidewalk to nowhere when you've
you
got the
have-
other ones.
Well, you have to
Um,
have a
but-
pathway to the pavilion, and so the only other point that you could put the pathway in from is the same point that you're putting the pathways into the playgrounds, which is doable. I just don't know if it would be as appealing to the eye.
Either way.
Okay. I'll see if we can lay something out to see how it looks.
Sounds good. We all set with that?
Yep.
Okay, item 9, Oakland County Tree Sale Project.
Oh, hold on, wait, Tim, I lied.
Wait a
I'm not
minute,
okay
wait,
with
you
it.
got Richardson too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I said I was okay, but I lied. I'm allowed one lie a meeting. That was it.
Sorry.
So we don't have a pathway on the side of the building at Richardson Center to make that deck ADA accessible. Or I mean, and now that we're having our concerts there, it doesn't make that ADA accessible. So I know what you're all going to say. Why don't you just run it along the building? That was going to be more costly than doing what we're doing here. And this actually goes along with what you guys haven't seen yet, but will soon, the concept plan that we've developed for the Richardson Center. So we actually did send this out to bid at the late fall last year, and we didn't get any bids. Which is kind of what we were expecting, just time it was. But we want to send this out for bid now, and we have a couple other projects in the township that we can partner up on and hopefully get better deal, more bang for our buck. So what are your thoughts on this? I mean, we've had the engineers come out and look at it. This seemed to make sense, especially with where we're doing like the handicap parking and such for the concerts. It's going to connect right to that ramp on that back deck. Any thoughts?
So that, connecting to that, I'm trying to think, the steps that are right in that corner, right?
Yes, it's like, yeah, it's like one
It's
step
not, it's
up.
not the steps on the north side, it's the
No.
ones, okay.
And I have to ramp
Which isn't
it,
where
'cause
they
it's
really
currently not
go.
ramped.
Yeah, be
Well,
ramped.
There's that, you're right, there's that, but then there's also, that's not where they really go for music in the park.
Well, we
So
looked at,
we're putting them on a pathway and then they hoof it across the grass to go wherever they want to go, or what?
well, they can sit on that deck. And then if you have rental events, that opens it up to be accessible for the renters. We did look at putting in pathways between the two decks, but you're never going to really ramp it right there. And honestly, it just didn't make sense with the terrain back there. It was going to be extremely costly to do that. So we were thinking to give a safe landing point, which would be the deck. In the future, if we do beer tents, it would be on the deck.
What about
I
a
guess what I'm
racetrack
saying-
that goes around it?
This could be a what?
Well, I called it a racetrack, but what about you're coming out of there and then going all the way around and connecting on the, what would it be,
Side?
west side?
Right.
So we're extending it past what we're doing there. We could do that.
That's
Yeah, I
kind of what
don't-
I was looking at the drawing is why doesn't it go all the way around the building and then you can get access to both sides?
Well, because that
Right,
deck
and they-
isn't ADA accessible right now, so we have to make that deck ADA accessible from outside of the building. That was the thought process. But we could extend this.
But it doesn't really need, why does it need to be when you can get in the building to go out onto the deck? I don't know, does it need to be accessible on the outside also?
The building is closed during the music in the park.
Sometimes.
All the time to everybody else but the band and
Staff.
Well, we've had people going in to use bathrooms because of the ADA stuff. Anyway, either way, I mean, if we're making it ADA accessible, I mean, that's different.
But you
Then you're
wanna-
talking, you have to do that on both. No, the other one's got a ramp, doesn't
The
it?
other one's already accessible, but we can look at extending it. I see what you're saying. And then, so we have the landing point here, but then we can bring it around Make the
my other
pathway
thought with
connection
that is
between
as
the
you
two
bring it around,
decks.
it allows them to go and make a choice, and they can go 6 or 7 feet off the sidewalk and
Right.
plop their chairs to listen to music there, and have somewhat of a stable,
Okay.
you know.
I'll have Jason
Anyway,
look
it
at
was
it.
a thought. Just and then just get a price on it, or they're bidding it.
Okay.
Let's work on
Emily-
it for getting a running track around it.
Yeah.
There you go. You only have to do about 42 laps to the mile.
Emily, I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
When you're coming up with the designs for the pathways, do you have any kind of consultant, like perhaps maybe
Yes.
somebody who would utilize this? Okay.
Yeah, we actually had Living Lab look at this, as well as Giffords engineer and their landscape architects, which is why the path comes in from where it does. Because I mean, the easiest answer was to try to run it along the building, which it just isn't going to work. We quit looking behind the building because we thought that it was going to be so costly because of the terrain back there, but we can look at it. The bigger the pathway, the less it's going to cost. They don't like to bid these small jobs. We'll work on it. I got time.
We ready to move on then?
Yep.
All right, item 9, Oakland County Tree Sale Project.
I'm gonna let Allison's working on this. So actually it was Bob's idea, and then I had Allison start the work on it, but we all know Oakland County has their tree sale every year. So we included that information in the packet, and I'll let her take over as to what her thoughts are on this.
So I guess the question would be, which parks do you think would best be utilized for this? And then looking to set a date. So we'd have to decide which parks and then which trees you'd want to use, because we do have to submit this by April 6th if we wanted to move forward with it this year.
So let me give a little history or reason why we're doing this. Maybe if you remember, we had a Boy Scout Eagle Scout project that reforested. Although these things are little sticks. I mean, they're not trees really. Over at Maple Glen, I was disappointed, and it didn't look like that many of them made it, and it might be even worse once winter's done. But Emily did say that it's only expected that maybe 30% live anyway. But having said all that, if you remember, we spent time and money putting together a forestry plan where they marked trees where we had commented we wanted to replace trees with deciduous or whatever stuff. So my thought was, if we wanted to do that, maybe we get in on this Oakland Conservation Project, get some of the trees through that program, and we can enlist the Boy Scout troops, whether it be the one I work with or I don't remember her name, Kayla or whatever, any of the troops that are looking to do conservation projects. Maybe they can do the planting, but we would have to obviously tell them where they want it and what tree, that type stuff. So that's sort of the idea that I brought up to her, and that's why it's on tonight.
Okay. Allison,
So, go ahead, Allison.
I did not see in there what the caliber of the trees are. Are they just seedlings, or they have
Pretty
different
much,
calibers?
yes. So it would say on there the size 10 to 18 inches. That is only the height. They're like, honestly, it's like a pen or a pencil is what they
Less
are.
than a pen.
Yeah.
Bill, they are a stick with 4 leaves.
So we would have to invest in the
Seriously.
sleeves.
There's not a whole lot. I mean, some of them are the pine trees or the cedar, whatever, red cedars, and depending on what it is, and they've got a little more green on them. But the maples and oaks or whatever the heck it is that were planted and recommended by the forestry guy, they're sticks.
Mark, let me bring you in on this one here. If we took these trees and developed, on back maybe where the old, where we had trees, where the old garage was in Dodge, and someplace where we can nurture these trees and maybe get them to a 1 inch or a 2 inch caliper, and then be able to move them into someplace where we need something that we know has a chance to live. But cripe, when you're talking 10 inches, I mean, that's no bigger, longer than a ballpoint pen, basically.
I bought
So
12
Bill,
20 years ago, and I
was gonna say,
14 in a shoebox.
I took 2 of them because they were left over. They were maples. I stuck them in a pot at home and put a bunch of soil. So that went through all summer, and I watered the suckers, and they probably tripled in size. And they're not 1 inch, but height wise. Now, having said that, I don't know that they'll have lived through the winter. I moved it to the garage, but we'll see. So
Well,
it's a thought.
I mean, I've taken seedlings and I have them in my backyard that are now 15, 20 feet in like 5 years. And that's from a maple seed, I mean, I picked it up when it was a 2-leafer. And so
but you're taking care of it.
Want to do that. Do we have a spot, Mark, where we could possibly have a little nursery that, what we don't want to do is all of a sudden make another big maintenance project for our maintenance department. But if we had a spot that was an area, because all you basically got to do is mulch them and water them maybe weekly or every other week if you got them really mulched in, and let them grow until they get somewhere we can use them. And then they'd be tended by our guys and not a lot of work. So,
Hey,
but
Tracy is talking about buying.
Well, how much?
How much are they to get a real tree?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You might talk to
Oh, a
him.
real tree? Hundreds of dollars.
Well, I'm just saying these things are 78 cents, $1, per 10. So I mean, just roughly, they're less than $5 a tree. So, and if 30% of them live, maybe you spend, I don't know how much you spend, but if we're going to reforest,
Yeah, and a lot of those.
maybe we buy real trees.
Yeah, a lot of those we planted last year. We had such a drought and the hot weather, so that's I think that's why a lot of them didn't make it. But
Yeah,
some of them look pretty good in the fall.
Let's at least give them a chance to grow for a season or two before we stick them in the ground. Give them a shot.
The hard part was getting the water over to them. I think
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Bob did that one time, and we did it a couple times.
If we had them in the nursery area that we could water the whole area until they got to be a foot tall or 2 feet, now we've got something to work with. That
it'd have to be a shady area in case it gets too hot.
That's why. Well, again, my thought was they got that pond right over there across the parking lot, and where the garage used to be is right on the other side of that pond in Dodge Park. A little pump, a little water, a little nursery area there, and that's pretty fertile ground. And just thinking, don't know.
I mean, if you guys feel you want to do that, I don't think we have a problem doing that. Water once or twice a week be something pretty easy to do. We do have 55-gallon drums we can always take over there.
Sure.
And your choice. I mean, I don't think it's going to be that hard. The hardest part is putting them in little pots or putting them in the ground and going that
Put them in a
route.
little pot and mulch, and then mulch them over with all the mulch
Right.
that we've got from tree trimmings and stuff, just to hold the water in the ground, keeps it from drying out.
Is there a gardening group at Richardson?
No, but we can,
No?
put that out there.
We can look into it.
I mean, I just was thinking if we're going to put them in pots, put them over there, and then you got a lot more people going in and out. Maybe they, I don't know, take care of them, and I don't know. It was just a thought.
They might go home with them.
Some will.
Home like a hamster.
They won't die.
What is that?
Some will.
All right.
Adopt a tree. Adopt a tree to grow.
Emily,
have
can I
arroyo
ask
trees.
a question?
Go ahead.
Byers. So behind Byers, in the midst of that jungle, behind Granny's pantry, if we cleaned an area out and you guys set your seedlings behind Granny's pantry. We're down there, and it's right by the well pump where we water. We could water your seedlings when we go down a couple times a week.
Do they get any light there?
Oh yeah, the sun comes through. We've cleaned it out enough where it's not like a jungle, but it's like, and we weed whip it sometimes to keep the ground cover at a minimal, but people don't go traipsing through there, and you know, it's not a play area where it would kind of be obscured from the public to not bother them. And we're down there watering our gardens anyway. If that would help you guys out.
So I think, Emily, you know, we need to decide what kind of trees. I mean, that's the, I don't know what the forestry plant guy would recommend, but maybe we spend, you have your discretionary funds, I don't know, $50 and get some things and get it started and see if they die, you know, see how many live and how well they hang around.
We can work. Maybe
know.
Barb will work with us on picking the correct species.
Our evergreens did the best.
She only likes invasive species.
Whatever. She likes to get rid of it.
Maybe we can do deciduous trees in the one area and coniferous trees in the other.
So what do you want the budget to be? 50?
$50.
All right. We'll work our magic and all of them are going to live.
Yeah.
$50. That gives us
Combination.
almost 50 trees. So if we can get, you know, 30 trees that live a year or two.
Put aside
good.
$5 for a mass funeral.
It'll
There
be
you
a
go.
fun project just to see if we can grow trees.
Green thumbs. All right.
As long as I don't touch them, we're good.
We need a roll call vote because we're spending money.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Debbie. Do we have a motion at all, or?
No, we didn't have a motion
Spend-
yet.
I motion to spend $50 on Oakland County tree project.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion by Champagne, second by Garbett, to spend $50 on the Oakland County tree sale project. More discussion?
So do we have somebody we can call do we have somebody to call to tell us like what the heck we need to buy?
Barb.
I mean,
Our
All right.
horticulturist over there.
I mean, seriously, do we have our tree,
I have.
we had this done. Do we have the forestry
have it.
paperwork for where the park? Okay.
All right, any more discussion?
You're good.
All right, Debbie, go ahead.
Champagne,
Yes.
Garbett,
Yes.
Pesh,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Wickert,
Yes,
Burkheiser,
Sure. Yes.
Cast.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
all right. Item 10, Regina Music Box, location for display.
So I don't have a lot on this, but I wanted to at least, keep it on here because we are still working on it. We did tour the library with Allison over there, and we did identify some areas that we could put it. The next step is to look at what kind of display it would be in, because obviously we don't want to put it in a display that's going to take away from the actual item. The main concern is people touching it and harming it over there. So it definitely is going to have to be somewhere where it can be enclosed.
Can we just red rope it off? Or you think that would be not?
I honestly don't.
No, have the kids run around the
I think
library.
you could.
I mean, I put locks on doors and people still get in those locked doors.
There were at least 2, maybe 3 areas that were within, assuming there's somebody at the front desk the whole time, that there's somebody at least there. So, and Allison was very willing to have it in there, but the conversation grew into potentially displaying other, I'll call it Commerce Township historical stuff over there. And so it grew into that thing too. I think we start with the music box and then see what kind of comments we get out of it maybe. So the board was generally in favor, same comments that we made, which was we want to make sure it's safe. From, you know,
Yes.
not that anybody's intentionally doing harm to it, but, you know, sticky fingers or whatever you want to call it, touching it and all that type of stuff.
Sure.
So we'll keep it on here. Hopefully we'll have some answers on how we can display it next month.
All right, thanks, Emily. All right, item 11, Parks and Recreation Bylaws Review.
So the small changes that Bob had went over last month are now included in here, which is the meeting time start. And there was a couple other ones. He did the comment about how many township board members are on here. They didn't really feel that it needed to be changed. Because it wasn't going to impact anything if it did get changed. So they just recommended leaving that alone. So it was the start time, and then there is the remote electronic meetings, which you guys got to see last month, which makes us compliant for holding Zoom meetings. All committees are approving that. And then they added, I'm trying to find the exact language. So we did have the discussion at the township board regarding residency of the members. She didn't redline it, so bear with me. The township board made the decision that the primary residence of the person needs to be located in the township. So that is how it is worded in here as soon as so it's Article 3, membership, Section 1. It says members appointed to the Parks and Recreation Committee shall be residents of, and their primary residence must be located in Commerce Township with at least one member who shall be a resident of the village of Wolverine Lake. So that is going to be consistent. That wording is going to be consistent amongst all of our boards and commissions that it legally can be, because I believe that it is different for DDA and possibly the Planning Commission.
So how does that affect Rachel right now?
Her primary residence is not located in the township.
So this is her last meeting then too, you're saying?
It would not be her last meeting, no, but we would move forward with the process.
I'm not sure what that means, Emily.
It has to go to township board for approval, so it would go to approval in
The
March.
bylaws have to be approved by the township board.
Yep.
So
Yep.
she's good until that happens.
Yes,
And then you have to post an opening?
yes.
Well, this isn't really a job interview, no offense, but this is something that's done by the supervisor. He doesn't have to post it as a job. He can, certainly if he knows people that he wants to use, he can reach out to them. If it's really the supervisor's discretion on who he appoints, not just to parks, but to library, to wherever he appoints stuff. The board, maybe appoint's not the right word. I don't know what the word is, recommends to the board, and then the board is actually who does the appointment. So over the years, that decision-making has varied over time, in that the board has asked for, we want to see the 3 people that you interviewed, but that's not what the rules are. The rules are the supervisor makes the recommendation to the board, so he doesn't need to tell you that he saw 3 people and what they said and who did that. He said, this is who I want, and he gives the information, and we either say yes or no. So anyway, so that was a lot of discussion about the residency stuff. So they did take into account what you guys said, but did still feel strongly that folks that are making recommendations to spend money, township taxpayer money, should have their primary residence in the township.
Makes sense. What do we need to do now, Emily? Anything?
You guys need to approve the bylaws.
Okay. Do I have any motions?
I'll
I'll
make,
make a motion to approve the bylaw changes, or if it is a change.
Okay. Linda, you second that motion?
Linda,
Linda? Okay. All right, we got a motion by Pesh and a second by Champagne to approve the bylaw review, Parks and Rec bylaw review. Any more discussion? Okay, Debbie, go ahead and make a roll call vote.
Pesh,
Yes.
Champagne,
Yes.
Garbett,
Aye.
Henderson,
Yes.
Wicker,
Yes,
Burkheiser,
Aye.
Cast.
I would like to abstain, please.
Okay. Motion carried.
You can't.
Vote no, Rachel. All right.
You really can't. But that's okay. It doesn't really matter.
Because it was, part of it was about me.
No, that's okay.
No, it's-
That's fine. We don't need to go into it.
let's just go on.
Just say no for the heck of it.
She is a signature on the last page of those bylaws, so I don't know if that's a concern.
No, it's not about, it's not about.
Policy.
Forward.
Not about anybody, it's policy.
So we let.
Just created the issue.
All right, I'm gonna still move.
She's muted, so I think she's done.
All right, item 12, Parks donation policy. Emily, what do we need to do there?
I'm going to turn this over to Allison. She's the one who presented it to you before, and she's been working really hard on finding some alternative bench solutions.
Oh, yeah.
Still
So-
costly, but alternatives.
I will say I did look into, there was a question about the granite as opposed to having the concrete poured for the bench that we looked at last time. What I found is that's going to cost anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500, which I think would put that completely out of range if that is something that you were looking for and didn't want a concrete slab poured for that particular bench we looked at the last time. So we came up with some other options. I reached out to John Hensler, who is the trail manager for the Michigan Airline Trail. So in your packet, the first bench, the one that has kind of the circular ends on it, that is the bench or style of bench that they will be using on the Michigan Airline Trail for their benches and memorial benches that will go there. On the
Allison? Are they, it's hard for me to tell, but I'm making the assumption they're, what's that stuff called? Tech deck? I mean, it's maintenance free and all that type stuff? Okay.
Yep, it's recycled plastic. So with this bench, you can choose different colors. You can choose the color, like this one is green. They have a bunch of different colors that you can choose. So we can change them to be the colors that you would like to see in the parks. This is just an example of the style of the bench. You can have.
Did we have an idea what the cost of a concrete slab would cost? With the price of $2,500 for the, uniform slabs that could be laid down and then screwed to. But do we have any idea what it would cost to?
So I'm going to chime in on this too, and it just so happens that this kind of worked out in our favor, but our new maintenance worker that Mark just hired, that's his background is concrete. So he can actually teach these guys to pour our own slabs, or even if it's on a pathway, the benches that Allison, she spent a lot of time looking at these benches, trying to find a solution for the pathways that are not easy to get to, that we can put in like a footing in the ground, so they don't necessarily need a slab.
Mm-hmm.
These first two options do not require a slab to be utilized when you're securing them. So even though the picture is with it screwed to a slab, it has a different option so that it can be embedded just with a cement footing. It doesn't need to be attached to a slab.
Does that present an issue for grass cutting around it? Those type things. I think that's part of the, I guess if we're putting them, where do you envision these to go?
I would think that it would come to parks for location. I know a lot of people who want to do a memory bench, they want to do the memory bench in a specific area for a reason. And so they're going to come to the Parks Committee for approval, and then we can have that discussion. So if the concern is the maintenance issue along pathways, and we don't have the means to put the slab on the pathways, then they can't go on the pathways. We have to put them somewhere within the park. All of the pathways typically run through a park. So the location is going to ultimately fall on the Parks Committee, but we can work with the maintenance department too, and the donor, if it is a pathway solution, to see if there's an area on the pathway that isn't going to create a huge maintenance issue, that it's going to be easy to get through and maintain around. I think those are all key aspects we need to look at.
How much is this one?
This one is depending on what you want. So the 6-foot bench is just over $1,000. That's $1,035. And then they also have an 8-foot bench choice, which is $1,145. And a plaque can be attached to the back of this one, a memorial plaque.
As well as you could put medallions, right? And the arms.
Correct. Yep. So in the armrest, how it's circular, like the Michigan
there it is.
Airline
Sorry.
Trail is doing theirs, that in the middle of that circle is going to go a medallion with the Michigan Airline Trail logo. So if you wanted, since it's going to be in Commerce Township Parks, you can almost have a medallion with the Commerce Township logo within that circle. I will tell you that adds quite an expense. I don't think that would be something we would put on the donor, that if you wanted to have the medallion there, they were about $350 a piece. So one for each side. So you're adding $700 to the cost of your bench there.
So that would be, to me, I agree with Allison. If that's something that we would want, we wouldn't pass that expense on to the donor. That would be something the township would put onto that.
I agree.
So then the other option is just the slatted bench without any armrests on it. So those also come in 6 and 8 foot options. I don't know if really an 8-foot bench is necessary, but this bench is quite a bit cheaper. So for the 6-foot bench on that one's only $579.
My concern about an armless bench is skateboarders.
Oh, yeah. Didn't think about that.
Yep.
You put nails on the
Need the too.
If it's not on a pathway, or a sidewalk area, it's, I mean, you're not gonna, but skateboarders would jump on it, I'm sure.
They were snowboarding on our back deck at the Richardson Center. So
if there's concrete around, then I agree. I didn't even think of that. But I mean, if you're putting them in a trail, that, the trail around the library or something, it's not likely they're skateboarding on dirt trail. So I think the other one would be an option.
I think what we could do is
for consistency, are we not?
Well, yeah, but I mean, let's say that we went with the $500 bench would be the only option you have on a trailway, and then the ones with the armrest would have to be if you wanted to put it on someplace that was a paved area.
So Allison, did you look? Does this bench even come with an option of an armrest?
It does not.
Okay.
It's our policy.
The one without the armrest has a matching bench without a back. But I know that there was mention last time of not wanting one without a back, because then how do you put a plaque on it if it's for a memorial donation bench?
Sure.
So, but you guys are on the right track.
Two benches.
You can designate, where this bench could go.
Right. That's what I think. Say bench A, the first one there with the armrest, will be in this type of situation. And I do like the second one too. That's a nice looking bench for where, like you said, you could just sink, a couple pylons of cement or a foundation, little pods, and then, anchor it to that. Or Allison, you said those had like bases that would go right in the ground. You just cement it in, correct?
All of these options have that available. Yes.
Yeah. So It's our policy. We just say,
I
if
like
you want
those
it
two.
here, you got to go with this one. If you want it there, you've got this one, or you could go with, if you want to spend more, but the only one that will go on a paved area is the one with the honor. To prevent the vandalism like
Well,
Linda.
and that
say.
keeps consistency right along pathways with what the Michigan Airline Trail is. I mean, that's a large path within our township, so that stays consistent with that pathway. So you would know that you're on a Commerce Township path.
So what's the Michigan Airline Trail charging for their bench placement? Do you remember?
No, I think they're still working on their policy. Last I talked to John, they didn't have something in place and they were still working on everything.
Because
Actually,
my thought
Debbie-
was on the open bench, whatever that is, without the rails, and 579. I mean, you could do it. I don't no idea, $1,000, and then the other one $1,500.
I think
That gives
Debbie-
$500 to be able to put it in place
in the
and
ground.
whatever.
I think Debbie had a conversation with John Hensler also, or maybe not yet. I know.
No,
you had
not
reached
yet.
out- Okay.
I was waiting to see your feedback on that. So if I can find
Okay.
anything out, I'll be happy to share it.
I think if that's are they looking at both benches or just the one with the railings?
Just
Probably
the
the
one with the
railings.
railings.
I think whatever their price is, unless it's really exorbitant, we should try to match that.
And I'm going to throw this out there too. That bench that the Michigan Airline Trail is using is coming from the same company that we purchased the Scarlet Smile playground, the equipment through, the port in place. We have a long history with this company. And although sometimes they can be hard to get a hold of in this process, they've always stood behind their product, which is something to be concerned about also.
So if we're putting those benches in port areas, are we deciding the color of the green versus Commerce blue or whatever our stuff
Even
is?
do brown. I mean, there's
Okay.
tans, there's browns. You can go more neutral. I think the green is more park, and then the blue would be, Commerce. I would stay consistent once the color is picked. It's picked for any bench. Wouldn't change it, but.
So I didn't include it. We can include it next time, but I want to say they almost have like 10 different colors that you can choose for the ends. And then it's like 3 or 4 different colors of the recycled plastic that you can do. I was trying to see if
So I hate to say this, I think we stick with a 6-foot size one, but are we apt to have people lay down on this? What do you?
8 feet.
I mean, I'm not thinking about like bums in the park. That's not what I mean.
Future, that guy.
Like, how about teenagers? How about teenagers laying down on it and taking up the whole thing? Because my kid would. So do we want one with the divider in the middle, sort of like the airport, where you can't lay down because it's pretty hard to do?
I wouldn't worry about it.
No. Okay.
Not worth
They're not
I'm
that
good with
many people
the
using
top
bench,
two.
It's not like 20 people are going to try to sit down together at the same time in a park bench.
Not with COVID.
Well, I'm hoping that's done by the time we get them.
I guess my biggest concern is if I'm spending $1,000 to honor somebody, I would rather, if it's the plaque is located on the back and the back is not accessible for visual, I would probably be a little disappointed.
What do you mean, Linda?
Well, if it's located on the back side of the
No,
Not
it
the
would
back
be.
side, the back.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
The front side of the
side
back,
of the
where
back
you would lean
support.
on.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good.
You see it when you sit. All right, what do we do now, Emily?
Well, I mean, do you want her to continue her search? Or do you like these benches?
Am I sharing my screen correctly?
You are.
We see all the colors.
These are all the different color options you can get. for
Oh,
the
see,
metal.
these are the color of the actual boards, so to
No,
speak?
not the boards. These are the color options
Okay.
for the circles on the end for the armrest. These are the different
Oh.
color options you have.
I go with
Is that
safety
also
yellow.
recycled stuff?
This is not. It's like powder coated. Does it say on here?
Yeah, okay.
Baked on polyester powder finish. So these are the different colors you can get for the armrests. And then these are the different options in the recycled plastic that you can get for the bench portion itself.
I think considering the fact that a lot of these benches will be close to green grass, that it would be nice to use cedar so that
Agreed.
it would look better to me.
I agree.
I
I
agree.
think one that's on the display is a cedar, Barb. Kind of looks like that, doesn't it?
Correct.
No, I think that's too, Barb.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks
So
like.
I think too, there's a picture of this bench in the blue too, wasn't there, Allison?
There is, yep. Let me go back to that. So this is the one with the blue, but then it's using the gray. But then this is what the emblem or your logo, if you chose to do that, would look like.
I like the green over the blue, but I'm not opposed to going with a neutral brown either.
Allison, can
Well, I
you go back
personally like the blue, but I can go with green or brown either too, so it doesn't matter.
2 slides so I can see those anchoring points again?
Yep, right here. So this is the embedment option that we were talking about, where you just use the, like a footing.
Yeah.
These other ones are the ones where it has to be screwed down to a floor, to the cement.
All right.
So Allison, is it I don't know the right way to say this. So do we order it and they're going to send it to us in a week, or do they make it and it takes 3 months? Do we have to buy 5 of them at a time? I mean, what are your thoughts? How do
If
we?
you purchase more of them, then it will be a little bit cheaper if you buy more of them all at once. So I don't know if that's something you want to look into, if you want to have them so you're not waiting. I have not heard from Lance about how long it takes once you do order one for it to come in. But I believe
What
you
kind
have.
of requests have you been getting? I mean, do we have 10 people on a list? Do we get 1 or 2 a year?
We have 3 or 4 people within the last 2 months that have called and asked about it. I do have the names of 2 people that are waiting for this to be approved so that they can look at the option of completing and purchasing once the policy is in place.
I would say that the township, we would buy them as a Parks Committee and put some of them in, but maybe keep a couple on hold for people who want to do memorial benches.
That's a good idea. What do you think about buying 10 or 8 or something like that, Emily?
I mean, I guess we did budget for benches this year, so I mean, review that number and see what we
Yeah,
can
how
do.
much? I don't think we were looking at spending that much per bench in our budget originally, but we could always just
Well-
buy it with what we budgeted.
I think you should find out what the discount is,
Yeah.
before you start getting into that. I mean, we at the village, we just wait until somebody wants to buy one and they pay the
It
price.
takes, well, and I mean, I still think that we should move forward with getting some as far as the township goes, because then people can see it. And we do need benches, but then there are, and I'm not opposed to what you say, Linda, if that's kind of part of the deal.
Buy 10 of them. I mean,
Yeah.
unless you need 10 of them.
Yeah, I agree.
People can
I mean, if
also,
we have 3 or 4 people,
well, and if you've got
if we have 3 or 4 people, buy 5.
Right. I was thinking 5. If
And
that's where the
can
discount rate.
can they, once you bought those, if you've got extra, can they put their plaque on one that's already sitting there if they want to?
See, why not?
Yeah, I'd have to ask, but I mean, if you're just purchasing the plaque at that point. Yeah, I agree. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, because it's an addition. It's not it's not embossed in it, right? It's
Nope.
a
Correct.
plaque.
Mm-hmm.
So you could almost get your plaque anywhere.
Mhm.
Well, we want to make sure we're ordering plaques so that they're all the same.
Yeah.
They don't
Yes.
go out and order a
This-
plaque
this
and bring it in.
company has plaques as part of their program. The other ones that I've looked at don't. You have to then find the trophy shop or whoever you might get
I
your.
mean, people make those, yeah. We can pick the design. All right, I gotta go. Let's go.
So what we need to do, Emily?
Okay,
need-
so is everybody in agreement with that bench? So we can continue working on the policy based on that bench?
Yeah.
And do
Yes.
you want,
Yes.
do you want to have the second bench as an option or no? Just the one bench? Okay,
The one
All right.
bench.
then we will move forward on getting pricing nailed down. We'll have communication with John Hensler again to see where they're at with their policy and hopefully bring back a draft policy for you next month.
Okay. Ready to move on to item 13? Park
Yep.
events.
So this was just to give you a list. We are working with JAG again. They are working on getting bands lined up for us. I told them that we're not looking for the big, huge bang concerts this year. We want more like we used to be with the community feel. Since we weren't able to have them last year, we want to give the community something to do. So our plan is to move forward as this is a normal year. We're looking into the face painters, we're looking into the bounce houses, we're looking into the same activities that we always had. Concert dates are listed. They have not nailed down the band yet. I will send those out as soon as we get those. We had discussed doing something new this year, which would be the Oktoberfest. And I mean, we're throwing around the idea. Oakland County has different mobile recreation units. One was axe throwing. They have a climbing wall. They have all sorts of different stuff. We could open it up to have art vendors. We could do a beer tent. We could just something different, something fun. Let's add something to this list. And then we weren't able to have the M5K last year, but we do want to move forward with that this year. So that is on here with the date of October 9th. And I know that Allison is planning on going before the airline trail committee to get approval next month on that day so that we can start working on pulling the proper permits that we need to do.
So Emily, we had talked at one time, I don't know if we did it at this venue or not, a movie in the park.
Yeah.
And maybe like, I know people go away right before school starts, but maybe that first week of school, it's sort of a bogus catch up, whatever. So I'm just thinking, whatever that works out to be, it's usually August or maybe it's after Labor Day.
Right
Is that
before,
something
yeah.
they will handle or we handle it or did we
We
just
have to
decide
handle
not to
it.
do it?
No, we have to handle it. We were gonna look into,
Okay.
we have a projector
Okay.
and the transmitter and such. I think Mark and I need to play around with that and see if we can make it work on our own or if
Okay.
we need to bring a company in.
You can do that.
Okay.
Does everybody agree though, like that late, I mean, I think later or early,
Yeah.
obviously, because of time wise, okay.
Let's do something.
Without looking, I assume those are Fridays, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
except for the September 18th, that's a Saturday, I believe, and so is the
Okay.
M5K.
Okay.
Going to get an Oompa band?
What?
Test.
An Oompa band. Are you not old enough to know what that is?
I'm not old enough to know
Oompa,
what that
Oompa. That's Oktoberfest stuff.
Okay, yes, we assign you to do that.
Like Polish.
Oh, yeah.
Couple accordions, and tambourine will work.
That's right, baby.
So I have something to add to this for the M5K, Emily. How we had talked about having a designated pause or
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Good call.
something before we said that it was to raise funds for Parks and Recreation for upcoming events. As opposed to just having it be that broad, do we want to narrow it down and have something specific that we are looking at? Emily and I had tossed around the idea, do we use it for ADA accessible picnic tables to go into parks, making playgrounds more ADA accessible? We said to start as a collection, I guess, to go towards the dog park that is hopefully in the works at, no, not at Millrace, at
Victory Park.
Victory Park, there you go. So do you guys have suggestions, ideas? What would you like to see if we do something like that?
I'd like to see it go towards improving the trails or running paths within the community.
Okay, that's a good one.
So why don't we each think about it and email Emily and put it on there and in the list that you come up with, and then we can just review the list.
Okay.
That'll help speed us along.
So
I agree.
that was
I
one of
think
the questions
we
that
have
we were asked.
trailway funds.
Yep.
Yeah, but could be putting more benches out if you think you need benches, whatever. So
Sure.
It's always been on both Parks and Recs department. The dog park's always been a wanting it by
Yep.
people.
If there's a thing to support,
right,
that means something to people.
Yeah.
Sure, the sports guys would love to get the dogs off of their fields.
Good luck.
Okay, so if everybody emails me an idea, then we can bring it back and move forward so that we can start advertising it in that way. And I'm hoping to have more information on the beer tent, because I think that we could do that as a fundraiser type deal, and the proceeds from that could go for the same cause.
You could sell hot dogs too for the dog park.
Beer is food, Tim. Beer is food.
that's right. Beer and hot dogs.
There you go.
Oktoberfest.
That's right. Bratwurst.
And Bob's gonna dance for us, so it's all good.
Are you ready to go on to other matters, Emily?
We are.
All right. Item 14, other matters. I'd like to make an announcement at this point. My appointment expires on February 28th this year, and I've been told that I will not be reappointed. I've enjoyed working for my neighbors in Commerce Township these last 20 years. I consider it a high honor to have served. I thank the world of Emily English and know the Parks and Recreation Committee will be in good hands as they pass the baton to the next appointees. Some of my highlights that I remember is getting the Parks Village passed so we could finally improve our parks and purchase new land. I had the privilege of introducing former Representative Thaddeus McCotter when we dedicated the playground at Richmond Center. I also remember helping get Scarlet Smile playground off the ground and up and running, as well as many other park improvements, Maple Glen, Dodge Park, Star Ridge of Byers, Hickory Glen, Long Park, and Bicentennial Park. I also take pride in helping to name our two newest parks, Victory Park and Wise Woods. At this point, I'd like to nominate Bill Petch as chairperson to take my place. I know Rachel will still serve as vice chair until the bylaws have passed, and Sarah will continue on as secretary. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim, for all your hard work, buddy.
Your hard work.
You're going to be
Thank you,
missed.
Tim.
Sure. All your expertise and time that you spent. We've worked together, and I remember when you first got on the board, Tim, and when you got first appointed to be your first round as chairperson. It was fun.
That Byers house, that was bad news. Oh,
Yes,
that
it was. But you're going to be missed by me for sure, to look down there and look for input on all the things that we've accomplished throughout the years and all the memory that you have on the things we did. It's going to be tough as more and more that we lose our veterans on the park board, the more difficult it becomes for us. So
Well, hopefully they get some new people in there and, change some things up.
Well, you never know, Tim. We might have you back. Who knows how this thing will go, but I hope so.
Well, if I'm reappointed, I'm reappointed. I'd be happy to serve again.
Well, you'll be missed by me, Tim. That's for sure.
Thanks. Do we need to continue with a second for Bill's nomination at this point, or?
I'll second that. Linda.
Okay, any discussion? I know Barb said she wasn't interested in serving. So, all right. We have a motion by Wickard and a second by Champagne. Debbie, why don't you take a
Roll
vote
call.
for us? Roll
Got
call
it.
vote.
Whitaker,
Yes,
Champagne,
Yes.
Garbutt,
Yes.
Burkheiser, Bob. Oh, I'm sorry, Bob, you're on mute.
He's
Okay, gotcha. Yep. Pesh,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Cast.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
any other matters?
Just real quick, guys. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Lesnar family, with all the work that they've done at Hickory Glen and the Hawks Association. They're actually in my neighborhood, and I talked with Emily earlier, and she'd already heard about it, but their house had catch fire weekend before last, and they are going to be displaced for about 6 months. Our neighborhood in Mount Royal, we're doing everything we can to support them. If anyone wants to contribute or learn more about how to help them through this difficult time, just feel free to reach out to me. I'm kind of helping organize everything from what 7-year-old Darby needs to dinners and so on and so forth, packing materials. So just give me a shout if anyone's interested in donating anything. Would be happy to have help.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yep, no problem.
Any other matters? Okay, anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Got a motion by Garbutt. And a
Support.
second. Hey, Debbie, roll call to adjourn.
I'm muted. Sorry, Garbutt,
Yes.
Pesh,
Yes.
Wickard,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Burkheiser,
Aye.
Champagne,
Yes.
Cast. Rachel,
Yes.
thank you. Motion carried unanimously.